Hi, Cantor. Welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your September 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Cancer, it's the first house, all the way through to Gemini, representing the 12th. When we get through that, we'll also pull an oracle card for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Brady Tarot, and for the oracle deck, we have the Wisdom of the Oracle. But we're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have the Sun. So the Sun's pretty much just wrapping up its transit through Leo, which is your second house of possession, self-worth, finances, and it's going to be moving into Virgo, which is your third house of communication, short journeys, and siblings. We have 8. So 8th house energy for you guys is Aquarius, and as far as what we have going on there, I mean, we've had Pluto retrograde there for a while, and recently the North Node also moved into that sign, so some significant energies there. And 8th house in general points to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments. And we have Taurus. So for you guys, Taurus is your 11th house of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes. And as far as what's going on there, well, we have Chiron retrograde there until the 17th of September, at which point it's going to move into Aries. I think that's it for now, but yeah. So obviously we had Uranus there for a long time, but yeah. So it looks like that's really it going on for Taurus. So yeah, maybe there's some healing around old wounds when it comes to your friendships, the groups that you associate with, or even your hopes and wishes. So we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. For your first house, which is primarily personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have Temperance. So this is the major arcana card for Sagittarius, and could just be saying you might be feeling a bit more put together lately, maybe more confident than usual, maybe even more outgoing than usual as well. But I feel like this is just more of a deep inner knowing of what you have to offer. And that could partially be due to you guys having Mars currently in your sign too, which could be just be adding to your confidence at this time. For your second house energy, we have the Mother of Horns. So this is really the equivalent of the Queen of Cups, which is the card representing your energy. So to see this in your second house, to me, says that you might have some confidence around your finances and your self-worth as well. This could just be saying that you might be more in tune when it comes to that area of life too, as far as making decisions that will benefit you the best in the long run. All right, for the third house, which points primarily to communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have inspiration. So this is really the equivalent of the Ace of Wands in traditional tarot. And seeing this here to me says that, yeah, again, like I said, tying into what we were saying with the first house energy, right? That Sagittarius energy. It seems like you're more action oriented this month, either, taking action from moment to moment, or at the very least, having ideas about what you'd like to do as far as taking action around situations. And again, like I said, even if we just look at the fire symbolism there too, again, this it seems to be primarily fueled by that Mars transit in your sign. Now, for some of you, you'll be communicating these plans of yours, but for others of you, it could just be saying that maybe just through your interactions with people day to day, it could just be inspiring ideas within you of what you'd like to do. For your fourth house energy, which points primarily to home roots family, we have union. So this is the Two of Horns, and most decks referred to as the Two of Cups. And seeing this here is a good indicator to me that says that within your home environment, you're going to feel really comfortable, right? Really relaxed. Maybe if you're partnered up, of course, then that would be a good indicator that the two of you be on the same page as well, right? Seeing eye to eye, actually working well together as a team. So definitely seems like it's a nice natural fit there. All right, for your fifth house, which points to romance, creativity, and children, we have the Son of Feathers. So this is the equivalent of the Knight of Wands, and that's more Sagittarius energy. So yeah, so another indicator to me that says, especially like I was saying already with the first house, third house energies, we see I feel like this is saying you're really tapped in, feeling creative, right? Feeling inspired, feeling a little bit more confident, ready to explore a little bit more than normal. But yeah, so at the very least, we could say that those areas will carry over into your creative projects. Or if you do have a romantic interest, right, maybe you'll be a little bit more outgoing with them this month. All right, so for your sixth house of work, health, and daily routines, we have fulfillment. So this is the Nine of Horns, the equivalent of the Nine of Cups in most tarot decks. And seeing this here, to me, that says even within your work life, right, your day-to-day routines, you might be finding fulfillment there. So yeah, I feel like there's just an overall comfort in what you're doing, right? You feel like you're doing what you truly want to do at this time, and or even if there's things that necessarily wouldn't have brought you much joy, at least in the current moment, you seem to just be happy regardless. All right. So for your seventh house of partnerships, contracts, and relationships, we have the Seven of Feathers, which is power in this deck. So this is technically a Leo energy here, but seeing this here to me says that yeah, it could just be one of those things where it's good to see the union energy in the fourth house because this could give you more of an energy of conflict, right? Otherwise, or you might feel like, oh, there's butting heads. Now, if that were the case, given that you have this card in your seventh house, it would be saying more likely you to come out on top anyway. But more than that, I feel like this is more of like a mutual respect, to where you're seeing eye to eye. And yes, there could be the clashes there, or for that matter, even if you do have a clash, that might lead to the growth and the respect for each other in that time. All right, so for your eighth house of death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments, we have the lovers. So yeah, so this could just be saying, well, for one, for you guys, this is a Gemini card, so that's your 12th house, and that makes me think of the fact that we will have Uranus start a retrograde on the 10th of September. So if you felt like a little bit too overcharged when it comes to your inner thoughts, it could just be saying that could actually help relax that a bit when you get to that point. But more than that, I feel like this is saying, again, there could be some positive negotiations, right? Some productive conversations when it comes to that area of life, too, whether it be actually making some kind of investments, right? Or being more intimate and open with each other as well. So for your ninth house of philosophy, higher learning, and foreign affairs, we have the Emperor. So this is the major arcana card for Aries, and seeing this in your ninth house, to me says that you could just be feeling a lot more confident in yourselves and your beliefs, right? And maybe that's part of what's helping you move through the world with more confidence too, right? When you're more sure of yourselves, there's less inner doubt, less second guessing. It just gives you an energy of freedom to move around and do what you have to get done. Now, for some, you just could just be saying on a more, if we were going to call it a negative side, it could just be saying that you might be a little bit coming across as a little bit more stubborn when it comes to your beliefs when you're interacting with others. But I don't think it's necessarily coming from that place. It could be perceived that way, but I feel like it's just more of, again, that deep confidence in your beliefs at this time. For your 10th house of career and social status, we have the Daughter of Horns. So this is actually the equivalent of the Page of Cups. And the seed is here could just be saying that, yeah, for some of you, maybe you're on a newer path within your careers. And if that's the case, I would say the good thing there is, right, we see fulfillment, we see the Mother of Horns. So if that is the case, it seems to be more aligned with what you naturally would need anyway to succeed in that area of life. And if that's the case, though, could just be saying you might still be feeling a little bit new within that environment, but at the same time, it's a comfort zone, right? I mean, it's a cup energy. We have three cup, again, in this deck, it's referred to as horns, but you guys are linked to the horns or cups energy. So we see that natural flow there in your finance, work, career houses. So at the very least, it says that even if it does feel like it's a little bit new for you guys, you're going to find yourselves feeling pretty comfortable in there in the long run. All right, so for your 11th house of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Mother of Roots. So this is really the equivalent to the Queen of Pentacles, which is Capricorn energy. And yeah, this could just be saying that you have a solid support system around you right now. if we take that artwork at face value, and if we think of Capricorn energy as well, right? They might not outwardly be the most supportive, right? They might not always be rah rah in your corner, but to me, this is saying that there is that reliability that you could count on from them, though, right? So even if it's one of those things where you're not actively rooting for you every minute, right? It's just one of those things where you kind of, well, for some of you, you might not be as aware of it, but I feel like for most of you, you are aware that, yeah, you do have a good support system around you if you need them. It just seems like, at least currently, you're in such a zone to where you don't necessarily need the support anyway. So I feel like this could just be saying that they're, quietly cheering you on behind the scenes. And for your 12th house energy, which points to blind spots, mental health, and spirituality, we have the Three of Feathers, which is advantage in this deck. So, yeah, another indicator here that says that even within your minds, right, you have a quiet mind this month. You're not overthinking things, you know, feeling anxiety around anything. It seems like you're just in a pretty comfortable place right now. And just knowing that things are going to unfold the way that they need to, which is definitely a good energy to feel yourselves in. All right. And for the bottom of the deck, we have the Father of Feathers, and that's really the equivalent to the King of Wands, which is Leo energy. So, again, like just timeline wise, it could just be saying that, yeah, we're wrapping up Leo season. But more than that, I feel like this is just saying, again, pointing to some of where this confidence is coming from for you guys, right? It's just saying that this is just a zone that you find yourselves in. Again, like I said, the main astrological thing that points to that in my mind is you guys having Mars moving through your sign, which isn't always a comfortable energy for you guys, but here it seems like it's really like a nice fit. Um, but yeah, I feel like this is just pointing to, again, you guys having that confidence and inspiration to get things done. See what the Oracle card adds to the mix. So I'm just going to give this a few shuffles and then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. All right. Take this here, get this out of the way, and we'll see what you got. All right. We have Never Ending Story. There's the artwork. The number is 37. Let's see what this has to say. I mean, it's interesting just seeing that and, the wording of the card and then the artwork. It feels like being on a repeat cycle, but it seems like you're on the other side of that. So we'll see. We'll see how it fits with the main spread. Central Meanings says self-criticism, the wounded ego, unnecessary dramas. The Oracle's message. There is a story woven through the imperfect fabric of life that tells of hurt and loss, rejection and humiliation, self-loathing and arrogance, and all manner of suffering born of unnecessary dramas. It is the old story whose refrain is that you cannot do this, must not go there, should not say that, lest your world come crumbling down. Today, know that none of this is actually true. The sky is not falling. The voice you hear is just a small, scared, conditioned part of you that got stuck in a lie, wants to protect you, and needs to be seen as a victim. Of that lost piece of you, fear is all it knows. Distorted guidance is preventing you from being true to yourself. You are not your story, and the narrator is simply the voice of your fearful part, small and vulnerable and easily soothed. So that's interesting because the way it does seem to fit is for someone who would have heard that main spread and been skeptical, right? Like, no, I'm not really feeling that confidence right now, right? I don't really necessarily think things are going to work out. And that's funny to where it does kind of fit in that way, where it's like, well, no, maybe that has been where you've come from for a while. Some of you, again, I still feel you're already past that. But at the very least, I would say if that were the case, then that might sound relatable when you think of your past self. All right. The relationship message says sometimes your heart enters into a contract with another that results in pain, not because of abuse or neglect, but for other more complex reasons. Shame, fear of intimacy, and low self-esteem are the greatest challenges to the success of a relationship. Consider how valuable that knowledge is, however. Right now, you have an opportunity for important healing, but you must reflect on the stories you weave about love, connection, abandonment, rejection, and loneliness. Not only do you need to begin a new story, you need to forgive yourself for telling yourself the old ones. Have compassion for the part of you that believes all those narratives. None of them were ever true anyway. So yeah, I actually like that message as well, right? Because let's say if this is pointing to that seventh house energy of power and saying that maybe that is a cycle that you found yourselves in where there were these power struggles, right? And it could just be saying that now, maybe with you being a little bit more confident, you're not necessarily afraid to enter into those things, but in a more productive manner, right? Rather than just, conceding or feeling like you're the one who would push things, he might hold back from doing so. I feel like this is saying, being vulnerable to speak up about what you need and listen to what others need and find that mutual ground. The prosperity message says fear, envy, procrastination, greed, and perception of victimhood could all be active in your life at this moment. Are you comparing yourself with others, thinking their success should be yours? Maybe you're afraid of all the good that is coming your way, so you step out of your lane, totally aware of what you're doing, but seemingly powerless to stop yourself. Are you back to where you started, or in a situation that reminds you of past failures? Financial insecurity scaring you? You must learn to love yourself through the missteps and sabotaging moments. Use criticism constructively right now. Better yet, stop telling this story altogether. Make up a new one. The universe loves you deeply and will wait for you to figure that out. Tell a new story, and success is all but guaranteed. You can do it. So that was an interesting one there, because what that actually made me think of was the fact that we recently had that new moon eclipse in Leo, and that is your second house of finances, right? And when I talked about finances, I was saying how aligned everything looks in these houses, right? Your second house, that's actually the card for your sign. Then we see the Nine of Cups energy, right? And then, yeah, like I said, the Page of Cups, there might be a feeling of, okay, everything's new and you're learning things. But again, there's still that locked in energy there of all cups, which should resonate with you more. So yeah, so for a lot of you, I feel like maybe this was how you were feeling recently, right? And again, like I said, maybe with that eclipse we had recently in Leo, that helped clear that up for you. If not, there's going to be a full moon eclipse in Pisces, which is your ninth house. So maybe that could be what helps you with that confidence that we see with the Emperor, right? So, yeah, again, like I said, for some of you, I feel like this is telling a story that you might have found yourselves in for a long time. But from what I'm seeing here, it looks like you're actually breaking free of that. But yeah, hope that resonated with you guys, and we'll wrap it there. All right, bye.